Welcome to Daddy Draws. This is episode 2 of the absolute basics of learning how to draw here in 2024. And thanks for coming back. And if it's your first time here, welcome. Hope you stay. So today, before we start getting into talking about our exercises, we're going to say hi to Mr. Happy here. And we always like to start things off with a positive attitude, thinking about how fun it is. Everybody likes a smiley face. This guy is excited. And I didn't even think about it. He just came out of the pencil. Anyway, say hi to him, and he'll say hi to you. I'd also like to introduce you to, I didn't do it last time, this is Morty. He's kind of our spirit guide here at the channel. I say our, and I mean ours in the sense of like you and me, my loyal viewer. So today the first thing I want to talk about with everybody is your creative space. Where are you drawing? So, are you drawing at home? Are you drawing at school or during a meeting at work? Where is it that you draw the most? Also, while we're doing this, I'm going to use some basic shapes because that's what we were practicing in the last episode between now and then. And I'm just going to show you like the very simple things that you can do just practicing shapes. But so if you draw anywhere, you kind of want to have a setup so that you can very easily get into your drawing gear. It's if you don't have some place all the time, it can be very challenging. But at work, if you're sitting in a meeting and it's not going to offend anybody, just draw on the back of a scrap of paper. If you're, on the bus, just carry a small sketchbook. Now, I used to do that all the time. The only challenge with that, of course, is that you're dealing with bumps. And so what I did to learn my way around that was I just started drawing very lightly. And if something I liked came out of the pencil or pen, then I would just clean it up when I got home or make it tighter. But if you have a place at your apartment or your house, your bedroom, whatever, you want your space to be something that has all your belongings, paper, pencil, erasers. It's quiet or it has music for you, something along those lines that helps you focus and get into the mood. Because it's all about starting to form a habit. The more that you draw and you find a place that's kind of your zone to draw, you'll start to draw. It'll be easier and easier to get into it. And you'll start to find that you miss it if you happen to miss a couple days. I mean, even 5 minutes of drawing for me in a day will be plenty. It'll scratch the itch, I guess, is what I'm saying. So with this airplane, I'm just using a squished circle. We'll talk about circles a little bit there in a couple of minutes. Yeah, so your drawing space is going to be an important part of it. Another important part of your drawing space, it sounds funny to say it, but it's going to be important, is your posture. When you're drawing, I drew this little diagram here, silly diagram. You want to not be like this. In this case, you're very, very, very bent over the drawing. And this is something that I used to do when I first started drawing because I'm naturally inclined to have my face directly over the drawing. I don't have my face directly over this snowman, and yet I can see that I tried to draw a perfect circle and it didn't really work out for me. So I had to kind of, using my drawing experience to sort of make this more round. And then I realized it wasn't. And my next one worked out because my head is not over it. My face is, if I were to actually point at it, is like right back here. Really, you should be drawing like that. If this is your eyes, if the pencil is your eyes, you shouldn't be drawing like that. You should be drawing like that. So if we come back to this drawing here, little sketch Rooney, we'll see here that this guy or girl has a board to draw on, or a book, or something like that. It's resting on the table or on a lap while watching TV. And then their sketchbook or paper or iPad or whatever they're drawing on is resting on there and facing them. Their eyes can be directly facing the drawing. This is a big part of your drawing space because this can make it more comfortable for you to draw for longer periods of time without getting neck strain or back strain or anything along those lines. But I strongly encourage you to get a quiet little corner or even just a special, art board that has clips on it or something. And then as soon as that's on your lap, it's kind of like your art space. It gets you into the zone. Um, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about today before we get into the next step of our exercises was supplies. So I'm drawing right now with this. I like drawing with these because they're kind of very forgiving. They create some nice lines. They're dark enough for this video. My last one I noticed it was the drawings were a little bit too light, but I use these and I've changed my grip, which you may have noticed before. I was drawing in the writer's grip, and now I'm drawing underhand or overhand. I like doing this when I'm doing life drawing, right? You start to get more of a sense of uh, fluidity because you're drawing from your elbow and your shoulder, whereas otherwise you're drawing from your fingers. You can get fluid lines, but they're much shorter. When you draw from your elbow and your shoulder, everything is like much bigger, so you can get nice big shapes. You can get people jumping through the air here. We're going to talk about this eventually, but this is your line of action. Everything has a line of action. That's a bit advanced right now. We're going to be talking about that in another video. So you have your different grips, you have your different things, but this pencil is soft, dark, and I cut it back here. I don't know if you can see it. Bring it up closer to you. I carved the tip away so that I can get a nice flat edge for nice broad lines, and then I have my point to get nice sharp lines. Another type of pencil is like your standard graphite, which is, these are some Blackwings. These are my favorite pencils in the world. They are very nice to draw with. They have a plastic eraser. That's kind of like one of these. You've probably seen one of these. These are very good. They do leave a lot of like little itty bitties around after you've done some erasing, but they're pretty good. These are my favorite for erasing. So it is a gum eraser, right? You can see it's like plasticine. And I squeeze it to make it into any shape I want. And after I've erased something, like I can even erase this pit pencil, which is not supposed to erase very well because it's oil based, but it'll erase it because it's doing is grabbing it right off the paper. I don't know if you can see that sort of disappeared. And then when you're done with it, I don't know if you can see there's like the almost impression of what I took off the page. You squeeze it and you kind of get it back. It disappears into the eraser, so the eraser is clean. Now I've had some of these. This is that will go like black because they've picked up so much stuff, and they kind of got to throw them away at that point. But these are great for life drawing, for getting right in, fine. You can make it a point, right? If you need to, you can get right in on a small area. So that's a gum eraser. And of course, you have your pencil eraser, which sounds kind of funny, but this is the eraser right here, and you sharpen it like a pencil, and it will erase. It won't erase these kind of pencils, so I can't really show you. And you have your classic HBs, and then ballpoint pens. These are cheap. You can find them everywhere. And I find that some companies make better ballpoints than others. Some of the ink will like jam up. There's Mr. Yoga Square. He's returned. And will kind of like, you can get like gummies all over your, like little balls of ink will come up in your drawing. So you gotta experiment around. Clicky pencil, right? These are great because you don't have to sharpen them, and you just click them and the lead will come out. And this is a sharpener, but this one's actually a very specific sharpener. It only sharpens these pencils, but the concept is the same. So for any pencil, you would put it in there, turn it a few times until you get to the sharpness that you like. It's always preferable to draw with a sharper pencil than to draw with a dull pencil. I like to keep these handy. This is a very small, my daughter stuck a piece of tape on here, so bear with me here. It's a small, flexible, ultralight and ultra thin ruler. It's nice to have if you need to get an absolutely perfect straight line. So from that point, if there's any questions about tools, there's a lot more tools, but I just wanted to start with some basics to get you drawing. I can pull up crayons. I've got about 1 billion crayons downstairs. If you want, I can bring them up. Yeah, so if you have any questions about tools, by all means, put them up in the Discord or put them up in the comments below. Still getting used to this whole talking and drawing thing. And we'll see if I can answer them for you, or if anybody else has the answer for you. Because I'm just a humble person, and I'm here to learn as well as teach. So, so the next thing I want to talk about here is, so these are, just to quickly go back, these are some things you can draw with basic shapes, right? This is a circle that all I've done was I squished it, right? That's an ellipse. It's another name for a squish circle, an ellipse. Ellipse is it's a coin. Let's use this coin as an example, right? That's a circle, right? When we're looking right down at it. But as soon as I start turning it towards the camera, it starts to get flat, sort of like this. So it's like looking at the edge of a circle. And then you turn it more and it gets thinner, right? And then you turn it right dead on, and then you end up with a flat line. So this is how you squish a circle. But the interesting thing is, when you start to understand that this circle is rotating towards your eye or away from your eye, that's how you can start pretending or thinking about objects that are more, because these are flat, right? Maybe not him, but these are flat. But when you start thinking about shapes, you can start to think of things being more volumetric, right? Having an actual implied volume, or being 3D, right? You're your own 3D software. And that can be done with anything. So if we have our square, right? Drawing our square, we draw a line going back, a line going back, a line going across, a line going down. Now we've got a cube. Now this is not in true perspective. All I've done was just fake it. But I still recommend trying to figure out how different things. So you can either be a ball with this, or you can start to squish it down and make it a cylinder, or you could even get even crazier and make it an ice cream cone. Oh boy, who likes ice cream? Ice cream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. Be one of my favorite things. And then, what was the other one? I gave you a square, triangle. Yeah, triangle we can do with pyramids. Hey, pyramids of Giza. But instead, Dungeons and Dragons. Uh-oh. For all my nerds out there who play Dungeons and Dragons. There we go. Okay, so with the basic shapes, start just playing around with this. Eventually, we're going to get into perspective, where we actually can create these shapes with a system called perspective. So it makes it look like these things are in a picture, you know. So like you have this, and then in the distance there's another one, right? And it's sitting further back. Or the square, you can look at the square from any angle. So you can look at it. Yes, sorry, I'm doing hairy lines and I'm about to talk about that. So bad me. We're gonna start talking about different kinds of perspectives. So like I can pretend like this is going into perspective. So it's disappearing into the distance. You do that with like train tracks, right? As things get further away, they start to get closer together. Anyways, this is, we're not doing this today, but this is, I want you to think about things being three-dimensional. So if that means you got to draw, you know, a cylinder, go pick up a cylinder, look at how it looks on your table, and draw it, because then you're going to get an idea of how cylinders work in 3D space, how boxes work in 3D space. Go find some dice from a board game or an old, you know, cereal box or whatever. Or, you know, if you have Dungeons and Dragons dice, they're pretty perfect. Um, so what we're going to talk about that. So we've talked about this. We're going to be doing. I want you guys to just start messing around with these and post them on Discord if you want, and we can talk about them. We can start. I can overdraw them or whatever you need. Um, the other thing I want to talk about is lines. So I said before, hairy lines. Bad, bad, bad. So when you start overdrawing your lines too much, what happens is you look like you're unsure. Now I've darkened this up so it's almost hiding it. But if you're drawing, you don't want to draw your lines like this. Pick up your pencil and drop it. You want to do this, right? You want to do this as smoothly as you can. So one of the exercises you're getting this week, aside from just messing around with this, is draw lines. Draw lots and lots of lines. So there's an exercise I want you to do, which is drop a bunch of lines, or dots, I'm sorry, and then go across, draw a line, draw one a bit further, draw one a bit further, a bit further than that, a bit further than that, a bit further than that. Then this is what you're going to do. You're going to put your pencil tip down on the dot. You're not going to draw yet. And lift it up just lightly, but you're going to imagine that you're drawing that line from this point to that point. You're going to imagine it. If you're right-handed, now this is a personal thing. Try this out for yourself. But I have found when with people that are lefties that they should reverse this. So this line would be the same, but all these dots would be over here. Okay, that's my personal thing. You may disagree, but try it out. So now I'm going to hold my page. I go like this, imagine it, and draw across. It wasn't perfect, but this is an exercise. So, right, you're going to draw across. And the point of this is we're trying to get good, smooth lines. And it doesn't matter if they're wobbly, right? This is practice. This paper is also kind of bubbly. But so basically just do hundreds of these. And then you can also do things like join them together at a tip. You know, you can try and go from this dot to this dot. So, and this is going to be hard, right? As you can see there, you see how my fingers are locked, right? So I can try even doing the overhand grip. You get a little bit of a fuzzier, softer line here. That works too, right? Draw dots all over the place and just try and join them together. And then see how you have to lock out your wrist or your shoulder to make it work, right? So that's what you're going to do for straight lines. I want you to just do that. Make stars, you know. You're making your own connect the dots essentially. So you can do whatever you want with dots. Just put them around everywhere on a page and then just connect them. And then keep making your shapes, right, as well. The other thing you're going to do, and this one I find can be frustrating and yet rewarding is you're going to draw a smooth line. Okay? And no hairy lines. I want you to draw that in one. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take another line right beside it and you're going to draw as close to it as you can. See, look, I had to pick up my pencil. But that's okay because as you can see, I didn't break the line. It's still smooth. And this is another thing this is another technique that you need to learn. It's how to continue a line so that it doesn't look like it was discontinued. So I went this way. And that's hard for me as a right-hander. I would recommend you go if you're righty. The only problem is the line was kind of hidden from me by the pencil because I'm sitting back, and this is where sitting directly over the drawing becomes important. Now, if you're drawing digitally, if you've decided to do that, that's great. Try not to use undo. Right? Try to get these basic skills ingrained. Undo is great. It's also a crutch. It can really hamper your advancement as an artist. Absolutely use it when you need to, but don't rely on it. So you want to do this. Now you want to try and be as smooth as you can. Right? Now we're going to draw somebody going like, yay! They're so happy. They got some beautiful hair. But use any shape you want. It doesn't have to be an S. It can be, you can even do it with circles. This is going to be terrible. I'm warning you in advance. Right? There you go. And there you go. So do that. So for the next thing I want you to do, shapes, squish your circles, keep going with your squares, bring this guy back, your yoga square, do some lines and keep them as close and smooth as you can, and then practice just dropping nice straight lines, right? Try your overhand grip, try your underhand grip, try your writer's grip. We're just playing here. So if you're laughing at yourself because of stuff you're drawing, then you're doing everything right. And I think that's great because as soon as you start taking this too seriously, all the love kind of drains out of it. We don't want that. Anyways, I hope this has been helpful. As you can see, it is a creative mess, but it's a lot of fun for me, and I hope it was fun for you. So in the meantime, I hope you come back, and if you do, you're always going to be welcome. And if you decide that this isn't working for you, well, there are lots of super talented artists here on YouTube that will be able to help you out, and you'll always be welcome back. So until then, thanks for coming. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.